So here we are to interview Mr. Bhupendra Bhate, who's the client that we are going to interview today. We are here to talk about Vitus, healthcare personal device, for which we want to ask him certain questions and talk about the experience that he had with Iuova Design Company. So first of all, I would like to request you to, in a very few words, introduce yourself.
First and foremost, thanks for inviting me here, and have this particular session with you. So, I have that way a very interesting background. So, all 40 years I have been into the engineering, hardcore product engineering. I was the Chief Operating Officer, board member, Larsen and Toubro Technology Services. Fully, we were into the product making. So somewhere around 2020, I thought I should start my own company and capitalize on the experience that I have gained and come out with an innovative product. So that's where then we thought of Vitus, which is a portable, non-invasive health monitoring device. And that's how we started with the company. And and the product itself was such that there was no parallel to the product. And that's why we are looking for a partner.
So when you were looking for a partner, what were the particular qualities you were looking for as a design partner?
Yeah. So as I said, that at one point I myself had a big team of an industrial designer under me. To be more specific, almost there were 14,000 plus engineers working directly under me as a Chief Operating Officer board member. So I was very particular about the type of capability that I want to look for in a company. Now, Over was a very innovative product where you won't see any parallel of that product. Now, generally, when you develop any product, you need to have some sort of a mental reference, right? So, for example, when you have to design a car, you know how does a car look like. It is a four-wheel, it is either a sedan or it is a SUV and all. But here we are talking about a product which it is difficult for myself also to explain that what it will look like. All I can say is that yes, it is very compact, it is a consumer facing, it will have multiple health parameters that have to be monitored, it has to be very compact, easy to use and so on and so forth. Now from that, our design firm has to understand what the product should look like, but then looking like is a one part of it. The second part of it is that this is a medical product. So medical has its own nuances. At the same time, it is a consumer product. So obviously the firm whom we are selecting needs to understand the domain part of it, where the applicability lies. At the same time, the technical part of it, how the user interface, how the user design should be. Sort of. So that is the second part. The third part we are looking from a partner was their ability to understand the material aspect of the device, because we don't want just the product to look good, but also it should be able to meet up for the application for what it is meant for. So for example, how should be the material, type of material to be used, how do you have the design from a serviceability point of view, from a manufacturing point of view, from a usability point of view. Then again, there is another aspect that there is a good amount of electronics to get into it, right? Now with the electronic, there is also this issue of the interference of the electrical signal and all. And when I was looking for a vendor, I hardly found any firm who is knowledgeable on all these aspects of it. Most of the firms were just restricted more to the look and feel of it. They may give you something that may look good, but may not work in the real market when you take all this consideration. That was point number one. Point number two, most of the firms that I interacted with, they could do something provided they had a reference of something in the market. Now here, when there is no reference, it is ultimately person has to really think out of the blue to come out with some solutions. So that's where when I interacted with Iuova, I really met up with quite a few people, and I insisted that I want to really first meet with the people who will work for me. And once I got satisfied, then I zeroed in.
And that was very wonderful. Like you already gave me a few answers within this question itself, but what was the what was the major challenge while developing this? Like you said, you needed some references which you were difficult to find. Other than that, when you wanted to make a device that is such compact, which was not there in the Indian market to this level. What were the other challenges that you had to overcome before starting on this project?
So there are quite a few challenges. One was, of course, that there was the electronic part of the challenges, basically, because from an electronic perspective, also the product has to fit within a particular form and size, and then of course it has to fit within the mechanical casing which will get designed. Now the question is whether the hen first or egg first. Do we get the electronics first?
Yeah.
And then go to the designer and say that I want a product which is of this size that should fit my electronics? Or is it that first I go to the mechanical side of it, industrial side of it, and get something, and then I say that okay, my electronics should fit into it? I believe the answer is somewhere. There is no perfect answer to it. Now both have to go concurrently, because finally each of the stream will take its own time. So they have to start parallelly. So the iteration part of it was something that was also a challenge that we could think of, because we may think with from an electronic perspective, then we come to know by the time the mechanical would have done something, but we feel that okay, it may not be able to house this properly. It's not only just the housing, the placement of various components and all. So I think these were the key challenges.
So speaking of these challenges, how well versed was, how did Iuova help you in overcoming these challenges? So how was the structure, and how did the way of Iuova's working help you overcoming these challenges throughout the project?
So one thing I found very impressive about Iuova was that the people who worked on our project, they were very keen to learn also, especially the electronic side of it. And I do understand that many specific things like a particular sensor, how it has to be placed, right? What is the intensity of light that it can allow to be put on it? Now, obviously, those are very technical aspects that they may not know. But from a product perspective, at least they were quick to understand, and accordingly then they came out with a design that was able to qualify whatever the conditions that the particular component need to have, sort of thing. Second was the signal integrity part of it, basically, because we want our product to work exceptionally well, even if there is a air condition running around or some other electronic gadget running around, it should not create an interference. Now, those type of concepts, which are more of a electronic, but finally it has to get reflected in the mechanical design. I think Iuova people could very quickly grasp what we were trying to tell them, and the good part was they did some learning on their own as well. So I think that was a very good part.
So apart from from all the design processes, design products, design concepts that we presented to you, I remember we gave you selected few designs. From that, you selected one design. In that process, how closely did you understand the process, and in that process, how did you come about to select that one concept that we went ahead and we developed the ED and the prototyping of it?
So as I told you earlier, that we had some sort of a checklist. Of course, one was that it's a consumer-facing product, so it should have a very good use and feel. Secondly, it was a at-use product at home. So obviously it should be easy to use. At the same time, it is a medical product. So it has its own nuances in terms of, the placement of few components and all. And then we were looking for design for serviceability, design for maintenance, manufacturing, and so on and so forth. So from that perspective, we looked at some of your design and we felt that, okay, this is the one that can fit closely in terms of, satisfying all these criteria. That's how we went about with the selection.
Right. And in terms of all the other processes, the design processes, the engineering process, or the prototype process, which was the most crucial moment in the whole project where you felt you are very close, or this is where you gave you the immense confidence that you want to go ahead with this concept, like the vision that you had from the start?
Yeah. So again, because this was a innovative product which has no parallel in the world, right? We ourselves also as a designer didn't have any reference, except that we have a mental picture of how it should be in terms of functionality, right? While on the look and feel, we did have some idea, but more we were depending on the Iuova. Now, one thing was very clear that it has to be very compact device, but at the same time, we were very ambitious about the number of parameters that it should be able to monitor. Now, these were two contradicting things. The reason was that means a lot of components need to be fixed within the small device, which is easy to carry, which is portable, and so on and so forth. We ourselves were also not sure whether we will be able to achieve within some dimension that we mentally had in mind. So we had this early on discussion with the Iuova, and we came out with a concept. We went ahead with that concept. But then at some point we also felt that when you really bring all the electronics and all put together, well, the dimension what we thought initially was not really what it was coming to. Though the shape and form of the product was the same, but then the size was bigger. So again, we had to relook at it from the electronic perspective and then again take. And I think this is the iterative process of a product development.
Yes.
So that is what we went through. And again, we had one more iteration where we said that, okay, from our perspective, we remove some part of this, the components and something, the usability will change slightly, but then we try to achieve the size part of it, the compactness side of it. So that's how I think it went through one iteration, and then it really gave us a confidence. The good part was that generally in my experience, I have seen that many times product can take up to 3 to 4 iterations. Here I was surprised that it went immediately after one iteration. So that was a very positive part of it.
Okay. Coming from this background, when you worked with the design studio, or when you work with us, how was your experience in terms of the professionalism? How was your experience in terms of the communication? How well we understood your constraints, your timelines, or what vision you wanted to have, undertake? When we speak about the design and development, our vision was to have a prototype which you wanted to go ahead and communicate with the investors and the other plans that you wanted to work with. So how smooth was that process, and how Iuova helped you get closer to your vision?
Yeah. So as I said, that in the company that I worked for and which I headed for a long time, I had an opportunity to work with most of the firms abroad in Europe, USA, Japan, and other places. So obviously we were very keen that the partner with whom we work has a very good, basically, project management concepts, if I have to use that word. Second part of it is the communication and the progress reporting, risk analysis, and all those processes which are required for a product, a sort of a stage gap type of things.
Yes.
Right, with the go, no go, and all those things. And that was also one of the concerns that I had when I was looking for a partner. And honestly, I did have that concern with Iuova also, because I was not sure. I was also working for the first time. But I think as we went into the project, we found that the people were very professional. The communication was pretty good, and the methodology was also very closer to what I would have imagined. So I think from that perspective, well, all positive.
And I think we have spoken about everything right now. Any suggestions or any areas of improvement that you would like to talk about?
Maybe the occasion for developing a grounds of product, and especially the product that does not have any reference. Not many people will have this type of experience, and certainly not in India, because India is not known for the product. Even as of today, when you speak, there is no global product which is of Indian origin, whether you talk about a physical product or a software product. So from that perspective, I think when there is a new animal, sort of, the ability to envisage also from the size aspect of it and all those sort of things, looking far ahead into the future, sort of before you get into it, I think that is one ability which again comes only more with the experience, sort of. But that is one area where possibly Iuova can look to.
Definitely. Thank you for your words, sir. And lastly, based on your experience, how will you like to sum up all your in one line, and how would you use those words to recommend us to many other companies like yours?
Absolutely, I will certainly recommend Iuova. That goes without saying.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.